Okay, but from here, I'm just gonna.
Call to order the meeting on Monday, August 17th, 2026 at 6 p.m. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please, Jenny.
Mayor Vogel,
Here.
Councilmembers Mulebauer,
Here.
Faunus. Here. Udvig. Here. Robinson.
Here.
Thank you, Jenny. On to approval of tonight's agenda. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Motion by Councilman Ludwig. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Councilman Faunus. All those in roll call vote. Please, Jenny.
Mayor Vogel,
Aye.
Councilmembers Faunus.
Aye.
Udvig.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Mulebauer.
On to tonight's consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda?
Make that motion, Mayor.
Motion by Councilman Robinson. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Udvig. Any discussion or anybody want any items pulled? Hearing none and seeing none, on to roll call vote, please.
Mayor Vogel,
Aye.
Councilmembers Robinson,
Aye.
Udvig.
Aye.
Faunus. Mulebauer.
Aye.
On to meeting open to the public. Just please come forward when you want your turn. Just state your name and. Good evening, Jackie.
Good evening, council members and mayor. I am here today. My name is Jackie Godell. I am the president of the Miss St. Francis Ambassador Program. With me, I have my secretary, Mackenzie Bauer. I almost called her Godell. And then my husband, Brent, who is also on the board of directors. We are here today to introduce you to 4 out of the 6 ambassadors who are representing you guys down throughout the year. We just recently had a bake sale at Night to Unite to fundraise to send the girls down to Northfield for an overnight to represent you guys down at the Northfield Jesse James Days Parade. So I want to thank everybody who came and bought from the girls' bake sale. It was greatly appreciated. At this time, I'd like to have the girls introduce each of themselves and then maybe get a picture with the city council real quick.
Certainly.
Hello, I'm Josie Crandall, one of your 2026-2027 Miss St. Francis Ambassadors. Hello and good evening. I'm Samantha Brecky, one of your 2026-2027 Miss St. Francis Ambassadors and Miss Congeniality.
Hi, I'm Lillian Becker, and I am one of your 2026-2027 Little Miss St. Francis Ambassadors. Hi, my name is Amaya Carlson, and I'm your 2026-2027 Little Miss St. Francis Ambassador.
Go back by them and take a picture.
Oh, should do it. Huh? That's what I'm thinking.
Did you know if it was-
I have a wine lens, so if you guys want to stay where you are as well, if you can.
We'll do on that side. I'll go over here. This side. Sure.
Miles, I'm gonna take a big shot. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll have to superimpose.
Sorry we didn't get you in there, Joe.
That's all right, Joe. Thank you guys for all your support. We greatly appreciate everything you guys do for our program. So thank you. And if you guys need us for anything else, reach out to me and we're here to serve you guys as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Jackie.
you.
Next, anybody want to come forward?
I'm Anna Filson, and I was here a month ago to talk to you about some concerns I had. And I've talked to Mr. Carpenter. First of all, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Chief, and council members. I'm back. Thank you for the due diligence to get the wagon with the speed monitor on 235th. It seems it did slow people down for a little bit, but also for the permanent sign that was put in, about a week or so ago. And I did express my concerns still. Oh, and I thank you for the brush on the northwest side of Rum River Boulevard, pat to the northwest of 235th. The brush and the bushes and stuff were mowed down in the easement. So if you're sitting in your vehicle, you can actually see what's in the curve. And it makes it easier for pedestrians trying to cross across to actually see. People have remarked to me when I've been out walking my dog that, hey, you can actually see the traffic coming at you. And I went, yeah, thank the city for that. But I did tell Mr. Carpenter that I did a little bit of my own observations. I'm a teacher, so observations and assessments on the fact that other county roads coming into the city, their speed limits are either 60 that graduate down to 35 or 55 that graduate down on the density of housing to 35. And that would be 47 and County Road 7 and whatever the one that goes out past the grocery store. Sorry, I've only been here 6 months. I was raised here, but it's been a lot of traveling since then. So, and I did say kind of tongue in cheek to Mr. Carpenter, do the residents on the west side, are they at a higher tax base? Or are they somewhat seem as more valuable than the children and residents on the east side? Because I'd like to know the reasoning why the speed limit is at 55 and it makes it like the kids crossing and the adults walking dogs and just going over to walk on the parkway in the county park. They have to play chicken with the traffic because 55 miles an hour to get across that intersection is pretty severe. And I would like more work done. I don't know. And I did suggest that on 221st off from Round Lake Boulevard heading towards 65, there's a park in the middle of nowhere and posing traffic from either direction going east or west for about 200 yards on either side of that park. They have small like green signs, pedestrian green signs with a picture of a pedestrian and a bicycle. And then below that, again, the pedestrian green sign that says share the road. And anything like that, I think would be an improvement over just before the intersection. There's a speed limit sign that says 55. And I'm like, who in their right mind driving should drive through an intersection where there isn't a marked crosswalk, but there are sidewalks on either side that dump into Rum River Boulevard. So, you know, I mean, I've had neighbors say they purposely drive at 35 miles an hour because they don't want traffic moving faster, especially on that intersection. And so again, thank you for the progress and I'll be back. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Don. Next. Seeing none, we're going to move on to special business. Alexandra House presentation. Please come forward.
I do. Just plug in there and then council will be able to see it and then do
Can everybody see the presentation?
There, now it is.
Okay. Well, first, thank you for allowing me to come and speak before all of you tonight. My name is Tina Bronson. I'm the Executive Director at Alexandra House. And some of you might know us, might know Alexandra House well, but for others, this might be your first introduction. I stepped into this role July 1st after the long-term service of Connie Moore, who retired and now is enjoying her well-deserved and earned retirement. I have been with Alexandra House 12 years. Before that, I was the Director of Mission Advancement. I'm here to talk about Alexandra House because the services that we provide, we do in partnership with community leaders like you. We are the only comprehensive domestic and sexual violence organization for the county. And for a county of more than 360 folks, we are the safety net for victims of domestic and sexual violence. We are the ones that answer the call 24/7, 365. Our mission is to empower survivors, inspire social change, and do that through education, support, and advocacy. What that means is simple to say and hard to do in practice. Again, when someone is in danger, someone needs somewhere to turn, Alexandra House is the one that answers the call every hour of every day, free of charge, for as long as it takes to get them safe. We operate 10 programs, emergency shelter being the one most people know about. We also have a 24-hour helpline. We do legal advocacy, youth and elder abuse services, healthcare advocacy, housing, therapy, support groups, community education, professional training, and Linus's Pet Haven, which opened in January of 2025, making us the only pet co-sheltering program in the Twin Cities that allows folks to bring their pets with them and stay with them in their unit, because we know that for survivors, leaving a pet behind often means that they won't leave at all. So we have eliminated that barrier. And this is happening in your communities right now. In 2025, law enforcement responded to 12,600 domestic-related calls and 800 criminal sexual conduct calls. And those calls are coming from every city and every township in Anoka County. And the most serious end is sobering. Minnesotans saw 33 known intimate partner homicides in 2025, with 10 already in 2026, and that does not reflect the most recent suicide in Hopkins. In the last decade, over 250 folks have been lost to this violence. And many of them were known to the systems that simply didn't reach them in time. And to put it in perspective, last year alone, 350 victims and survivors and their children spent over 8,300 nights of safety in our emergency shelter. And again, behind that is they're real folks with stories and lives and neighbors and loved ones that didn't have anywhere else to go until they came to Alexandra House. And like I said, we don't operate in isolation. We do this in partnership. We are a part of your public health and safety infrastructure in Anoka County. And what does that mean to actually call ourselves infrastructure? It means that we are already built into the systems this community already relies on. And those are 4 pillars. And so I'll go through those. The first, of course, is crisis response. That's our helpline. That's our 24-hour emergency shelter. That's our 24-hour response to the hospitals. And that's when deputies are on the scene of a domestic assault, they can connect a victim right to Alexandra House advocates right then and there. So we are, in fact, the first responders for interpersonal violence. Second, we are integrated into the healthcare system. We partner with Allina Health's forensic nursing program at Mercy. So advocacy happens right alongside of the emergency room care and forensic exam survivors receive, so they're not facing that moment alone. Third, we work in partnership with the justice system. We work with every law enforcement agency in Anoka County, including the Anoka County Attorney's Office, the corrections, the courts, on protective orders, court accompaniment, lethality assessments, which reduce repeated calls to the same address and helps prevent homicides. And fourth, prevention. We're in every Anoka County district teaching healthy relationships, working one-on-one with students with advocacy who are experiencing violence. We are working upstream so future children and youth grow up to be victims or abusers in the first place. So crisis, healthcare, justice, and prevention. You take Alexandra House out of any of those, and the responsibilities don't just go away. They fall into the systems that were never meant to or designed to carry them. Especially deputies who are responding to calls, or your schools, or your healthcare institutions. That is what I mean when I call Alexandra House infrastructure. So I love this slide because it makes it very concrete. We mapped 3 years of our crisis service data. Now, it doesn't include our prevention work by community. On average, every year we serve nearly 1,000 Anoka County residents, providing more than 15,500 services and answering 1,600 crisis calls. And it truly is every city and every township, from Columbia Heights to Linwood, from Now Then to Lino Lakes. And here's the part I'd ask you to hold on to. Whether or not a community has ever put $1 into this work, whether its residents call us, we serve them. There isn't a residency test, there's not a waiting list based on your zip code, and there's never a bill. And yes, that includes St. Francis. And let me show you what that looks like here. So these are the services that we provided in 2025 to St. Francis residents. We had 20 participants who resided in St. Francis just last year, and we responded to about 52 helpline calls. Now, about half of that was legal advocacy, with 88 services being provided to residents of St. Francis. And that means we help them file protective orders, go to court, access free legal representation, including, and we had 8 referrals from St. Francis PD from the scene to an advocate responding on our crisis line, because that came through the lethality assessment program. We also provided one-on-one support to 4 St. Francis students and reached 288 of your students with messages about healthy relationships through our classroom presentations. And I will say we had 2 residents who did some long-term work with our support groups and therapy. And we did respond to 2 domestic or sexual assaults at Mercy Hospital. So 20 might not seem like a lot when we're talking about how many people reside in St. Francis, but I assure you it made the difference to those 20 people who did not have to do this alone. So I talked about legal advocacy, and so this is the one I'm going to focus on because you had residents that benefited from that program specifically, and I see we have the chief here today. Thank you. So our lethality assessment is one of our flagship programs at Alexandra House. We served 532 unduplicated victims. We received 522 referrals directly from law enforcement, and that was the high-risk intimate partner cases. So nearly 80% of those folks were connected directly from the scene with law enforcement or shortly thereafter. And I'd like you to sit with that 80% because before the lethality assessment program was instituted back in 2010, it was not even nearly 40%. We could not reach victims, and then that window would close, and sometimes they never got the help that they needed. That has changed. Today, deputies and officers are making that call in real time, and it is keeping people alive. So LAB is now built into Anoka County's criminal justice system and its response, and it's a model for communities across Minnesota and as far away as Hawaii. But none of this happens without investment. And I want to thank the cities that have invested in Alexandra House. They're shown on this map, which is very similar to the one that you saw before. The teal represents the cities that have partnered with Alexandra House. They invested about $152,000, which is about 53 cents per resident. And we're grateful for that support. And also the Anoka County Attorney's Office and the Anoka County. These funds pay directly for things like legal advocates answering law enforcement referrals. It is the youth programming that's happening in your schools. It is the staff that are answering the crisis line calls 24/7, 365. And this map shows where the support comes from, and the map that you just saw where services go. And I hope one day that those maps look the same. So I'll leave you with my contact information. It's right there. You can also find me on the website. But I hope that if you have questions about how our services work, or if you want to get in touch with me because there's a resident that needs support, I'm here. And I want to thank you for giving me the time to talk about what Alexandra House does, and thank you for the work that you do for our community. I will take questions if you have them.
Kevin,
I just want to say thank you to Tina for showing up. I met her at the JLIC meeting and I know I look back at my notes, it's been since 2022 since we've done anything. And at that point, the council was kind of mixed as far as is it our responsibility to give taxpayer money to a charitable organization? Well, this is not the case. You provided a valuable service. So to me, it means it's a different situation entirely. So I would just like us to consider as a council down the road, if we appropriate some funds, again, the chief verified that over the years, and the facts verify that we do use them, and it's a valuable asset to our community.
Thank you.
I'll echo a lot of what Kevin said. We had a long discussion about whether or not we were gonna support them, and it was very mixed, and it was a very tough vote. I myself have had to use domestic violence services, so I realize how important they are. So I think we need to look at it again too.
I would agree. I think we should look at it again. Showing the maps and how many calls and services that you were able to provide to, well, all of Anoka County, but to St. Francis in particular. I was surprised by those numbers. But thank you for everything you do. And Alexandra House, I do know people that have used your services and it's invaluable. And I honestly had no idea how it was funded. So I would definitely be with Kevin to look at that. And if we had something to give to them, I would be up for that in the future.
Joel?
I just want to say thank you for coming. I do know people that have used your service, and they have benefited greatly. I do appreciate that. I will be the Grinch here and say, unfortunately, I'm one of those people that do not feel that charity is regarded much as it's a slippery slope. And as much as important you are to the people that use your services, you know, I stand where I stand, unfortunately, on the charity and taxpayer dollars.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you. Very good presentation. One of my favorite things about this job is learning new things. So very good presentation. I welcome a discussion down the road. I would say, if anything, I kind of lean towards what Joe indicated on that. It's a wonderful cause, but I just don't know how you draw the line. So, but I'm certainly open to discussing it down the road. So.
That is fair. And I would say other cities have had that discussion as well. So you might look to them as places. I will say that Alexandra House is not a nice to have. We are not in competition with other nonprofits. If you remove us from the equation, where do your residents go for support? We are public health and safety infrastructure, and this is a public health crisis. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. On to old business, ordinance amendment, section 3, traffic, second reading.
Mayor and council, if you have any questions for me, I can certainly try to answer them. Otherwise, just request a second reading of the ordinance.
Anybody, any questions? It is a second reading, so I think we're all familiar with it here.
I don't have any questions. I just think that we need to think about a way that we can shoot this out to our residents so that they're aware that this change is coming. So whether it's on website, whether it's on our Facebook page, whatever, I just want to make sure that we can.
Yeah, Mayor and council, we will be putting some updated information out on social media to display some of the ordinance in effect specific to St. Francis outside of state statute. So we'll be displaying some of that.
Yeah, I talked to the chief some time ago, and the legal had to come first before we could
Right.
post, so.
Yes.
Anybody on anything else? So I'm looking for a motion to approve ordinance 359, amending chapter 7, section 3, traffic of the city code. Resolution 2026-32, authorizing the summary publication of ordinance 359. Are these separate?
Yes.
Okay, we'll start with the first one, ordinance 359, amending chapter 7, section 3, traffic of the city code. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councilman Faunus. Do I have a second?
No, second, Mayor.
Second by Councilman Robinson. Roll call vote, please, Jenny.
Mayor Vogel,
Aye.
Councilmembers Robinson,
Aye.
Udvig,
Aye.
Faunus,
Aye.
Mulebauer.
Aye.
On to resolution 2026-32, authorizing summary publication of ordinance 359. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion, Mayor.
Motion by Councilman Udvig. Do I have a second? Councilman Mulebauer. Roll call vote, please, Jenny.
Mayor Vogel,
Aye.
council members Mulebauer,
Aye.
Thomas,
Aye.
Udvig,
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Go on to new business. Discuss meeting open to the public. This is something I requested. It's become clear to me that I think people come forward a lot of time looking for answers on the spot, and I just don't think we're well equipped for that. And so what my main point being is I'd like to try and suggest we go to something where people who want to speak, sign something and or check in with a piece of paper. And when they do, it gives them options on there for giving us their contact information so we can reach back out to them when they have questions that we can't answer at this time, which is a lot of the time. So I'm really not super concerned with, I don't know, it's open for discussion, time limits or things like that. I'm more concerned about how do we get people's questions answered when they come up to the podium, and how do we respond to them? So I don't know if that, who else would like to go? Amy?
Well, I like the idea of having, like a sign-in sheet or, just so we have the contact information to give it back. That is how the school district does it. If you want to speak, you have to sign in, prior to the meeting. And then, you know, you say how you want to be contacted back, and then we have something to, are you gonna handle this one, or are you gonna handle this one? And I think that's important, because I feel like that's been a little bit lost. So I think, personally, I think that's important. But I think personally, I think it should be okay that even if you didn't put your name in to speak, that, you know, before the meeting, like school board, you have to put it in before the meeting. You can't like, oh, I have something else. So I think it would be nice if, you know, if people didn't get here right at the meeting, they could still speak in the appropriate time, but just make sure they fill out the paper so we know how to get back to them. That's my idea.
It'd be
It'd be kind of tricky, but.
That's kind of tricky to do two different tracks. I mean, they could just be cleaner to do one. That's just I don't. Joel, what do you think?
Well, I think eliminating it entirely is off the board. I think that would be perceived very negatively by the people. Filling out a form's not a bad thing. We used to do sign-in sheets. We kind of loosened up on that. I think you might, I guess my opinion would be you could do a sign-in sheet if you want to. If you want a response to whatever question you may have, then it makes sense. I don't think everybody necessarily would have to if they're not looking to reply. I mean, if you're just coming up there to comment on, you know, how you feel about something or something we're talking about, wouldn't be a bad thing. I think I had a message discussion with somebody last night too, and I think part of the issue is, you know, where usually people that show up to the city council meeting are passionate about something, right? And that's kind of what gets there, because watching us do city business isn't fun. So people usually show up passionate about something, they want answers. And to think that staff knows what somebody could ask at any given time about any given topic, with the history that the city has of everything, whether it be roads or whatever, for somebody to know the answer to what they're asking on the spot, I think is a little unreasonable. For somebody to be able to get back to them and respond to their question, I think is not a problem. My question, I guess, would be if we do the form, and Amy kind of mentioned something about, you know, you handle this, you handle that. I would think that I'm wondering who would handle the responses, like say email or a phone call with answers. I mean, if it's a question a department head would have, they would handle that. If it's about roads, you know, Paul would probably get that sheet and have to give them a call back. If it's something general, you know, or if it's about code or something, obviously whatever department could handle each thing, I think. So they give them a call, try and call them. I know sometimes I've heard a couple people call City Hall and say, you know, they have to leave a message. They don't like that. But at the same time, I think, you know, it's not, I mean, that just tells me that hopefully staff is busy and working on something, and that's what they're getting paid to do. So that's a good thing. You know, sometimes if you have to leave a message, it's not always a bad thing. So That's kind of where I stand on it, but I don't think it should be mandatory, but if you want a response, I think it's not a bad idea to have that as an option.
Sarah?
Yeah, I'm kind of on that page too. I think if you're wanting a response, you have to fill out the page, or fill out the thing. I know that, I'm pretty sure that the whole too open to the public kind of became a thing with, Mayor Feldman. And he just wanted to give people a chance after they had heard some of the business, because a lot of times you don't think of a question until afterwards. But there's always that option of going home and emailing too. So I don't know if you're thinking of only having just that one, or what, if we're looking at whatever, but I know that that's kind of why he did it, was because so many times when we were sitting in the audience, it was like, you didn't think of the question until, you heard the presentation, and then you're like, oh, that, I'm still not clear on that. So I'd like some more clarification. So, I think it's true. I mean, we don't have the answers. A lot of times we don't have the answers, and staff sometimes has the answer, but if you want a thorough answer, it's easier for them to respond to you off of the city council meeting time.
Kevin?
I agree. Free speech shouldn't be squelched at all, especially when it comes to our city council. We're a small community. We should be able to interact with one another. I think it's worth a try. Again, I talked to a couple of people as well, and they reminded me that the school board does that. And I think it adds a little more decorum and some humility to the situation. Sometimes I feel like people come up here and they want a machine gun city here, and then it goes on Facebook, and then it's a gotcha moment. That's not what we're here for. It's not entertainment that we do here. It's serious business, and we try to take it seriously. If we're not, then you should be doing something else, or you shouldn't run for office. So I think it's worth an opportunity to try. And again, I would think from the top down, you write the head of the different departments, whether it's Public Works or Jenny or whatever. If you're not, and then you can see us on the or blind copy us as well. And if somebody doesn't get back to you, let us know. Drop a line to us, because that's why I ran for office so long ago, that nobody ever got back to me, and I was building a home here. So it meant a lot to me that have some response, some reaction at some point. So I think it's worth an opportunity to try. I just don't want to see more theater take over this place and have more government and some real function.
So the only question I'm hearing is, I think I'm hearing some people say if they want a response to fill out the form versus everybody filling out the form. How are we settling on that? I know Joel's nodding. I know that's what Amy mentioned.
Yeah, I think a couple more boxes checked. I mean,
Okay.
it's a silent answer for them. I mean, they can come and speak if they want, and then follow up with, please follow up later on. You can look at the form and give it to the appropriate department head and take care of business. I think it's worth a shot. It's not squelching people's freedom to talk.
I don't know, Jenny, I think it's something we could just work on a sample form and bring it back at another meeting here along those lines.
Well, there's nothing that would need to be brought back to a meeting. The only thing would be is if you're changing the layout of the agenda, because that is written into city code. We could implement a form. We could create one and have council approve it, and then we can just start implementing it at meetings.
I think that's where we're at, so.
Yeah, I think that's.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And at this moment, went back and forth on it. I'm not really opposed to having the two, I guess, as long as it's not greatly abused. So I think in general, I think it works. It's more when there are questions asked that don't get answered. That is the problem. So thanks all for the discussion on that. On to South 47 retail site plan, Beth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll let it. All right, so before you tonight is a site plan request. This is located at 4201 St. Francis Boulevard. This is a vacant parcel. It's about 3/4 of an acre. You've got residential development to the north, industrial to the south, and then commercial properties to the east. So the site is guided for commercial use in the 2040 land use plan, and then it is zoned B2, which is the general commercial zoning district. So the proposed use, which is a multi-tenant retail building, is consistent with the land use guidance as well as the zoning. The proposed building would be a 6,900 square foot multi-tenant retail building, so 3 tenants in that building. The access would come off of Cree Street Northwest. And so the site plan includes the building itself, some stormwater facilities, and then a new parking lot as well. The Planning Commission reviewed this site plan at their meeting in July. They discussed parking, hours of operation, setbacks, and lighting. And as a result of the staff comments that came about for the preparation of the Planning Commission meeting, and then the discussion at that meeting, there were some changes to the site plan that I wanted to go through tonight. But the Planning Commission did unanimously recommend approval with the conditions that then the revised site plan is intended to meet. So one of those conditions was that the building size was reduced. So originally it was proposed as about 7,500 square feet. So that was reduced both to meet the required setbacks for the B2 district as well as the parking requirements. So as it stands with the revisions, there are 28 spaces required, and then a total of 29 are shown on the site plan. So that does meet requirements now. The exterior building materials, this is, I think, a provision that we're all kind of familiar with at this point. The proposed facade materials are brick veneer, Nichiha siding, and then a concrete block veneer. And the requirement in code is that there needs to be 100% of the front facade needs to be materials that are of comparable grade and quality to brick, stone, glass, stucco, or concrete block. And the applicant has provided information that Nichiha siding is comparable in grade and quality. It's most similar to stucco. So it's cement-based, it's pre-colored, and it has the same or similar durability as stucco. So it comes with a 30-year warranty. So staff is comfortable considering this as comparable in grade and quality to the materials that are listed in code. The south facade articulation, so this is the facade that faces 47. There are requirements in the code that any public-facing facade needs to incorporate different articulation elements every 60 feet, and then windows at regular intervals. And so that was revised as well. So you can see this is the new proposed facade facing 47. So there are windows throughout and different facade articulations. So tonight, council is asked to review the application and then to take action, either to approve with the conditions, deny, or table and request whatever additional information you might need. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Sarah,
I do not have any questions on this one.
Kevin?
I have no questions, Mayor.
Joel?
Nothing, thank you.
Amy? I have no concerns or questions either, so. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2026-31 approving the site plan for the St. Francis Strip Mall?
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Motion by Councilman Udvig. Do I have a second?
Second, Mayor.
Second by Councilman Robinson. Roll call vote, please, Jenny.
Mayor Vogel,
Aye.
Councilmembers Faunes,
Aye.
Udvig,
Aye.
Robinson,
Aye.
Mulebauer,
Aye.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
all. On to the Anoka County Sheriff's Office Safe County Pilot Project. Oh, it's Lieutenant, correct?
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. I'll plug in here so you guys can see. You guys able to see that come through?
Not yet.
I do see it.
No.
All right. I know I've presented to you before, but at the chief's request, I am back. So hopefully this isn't too redundant for you, but I'm sure you guys have some questions that have come up since I last presented. So, Anoka County Sheriff's Office, in collaboration with other police departments, fire departments, Anoka County Emergency Management, dispatch, all of the above are working together for a safe county program with a vendor, Flock Safety. This will include increased ALPR technology as well as drone assisted response technology deployed throughout the county, as well as software, including Flock 911, which allows dispatch to push 911 audio to the squads, the responding squads, which will give the officers better situational awareness upon their dispatching of the call. Some of the things that are included, like I said, is the ALPR's automated license plate readers. This technology is not new. It's been around since 2009. I can remember when I was fairly new, not that new. We had large bread loaf size boxes on the back of our squad cars driving around, and it would do the same thing as these, I don't know, well, it tried to do the same thing as these cameras that are fixed do. They capture a still image of the rear of a passing vehicle. It reads the characters and the state, and it compares the plate numbers to a hot list that is provided to every vendor, not just Flock, but Axon, Milestone, Verkada, and all the other automated license plate reader companies that operate within the state of Minnesota. That list is provided by the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension every 6 hours to those vendors. If there is a match, an alert goes out to the cars that are monitoring that area's cameras. Minnesota began sharing this hot list data to the vendors in 2010. So it's been around for 16 years. What it does not do is there is no facial recognition. That's actually illegal in the state of Minnesota for government to utilize facial recognition. And it does not have any direct access to criminal justice databases. So again, the only information that it's checking is against a list that is provided to the vendor every 6 hours from the BCA. So what is a hot list? The hot list is, well, it started as a sheet of paper you would get at roll call, and it would have a hot sheet of all the stolen vehicles, missing persons, and everything like that in your jurisdiction that was compiled by your agency. When computer-aided dispatch came around, the state of Minnesota, since it was criminal justice information, started standardizing what was going to go into this hot file, this alert. Some of the things that are on the hot list don't pertain to anything when it comes to automated license plate readers, such as gang affiliation or group affiliation, terrorist alerts, Canadian Police Information Centers alerts. In 22 years, I've never seen an actual alert that comes through from Canada. National Sex Offender Registry, that does not come up on a Flock search or a Flock read. Basically, the things that are going to pop and are going to alert off of these predefined list of alerts is going to be driver's license status. So what that means is if the registered owner of a vehicle has a revoked, suspended, or canceled IPS status, that driver's status is flagged in the hot list as to all vehicles that are associated with it. It doesn't say Joe Smith has a revoked license. It says registered owner revoked. That's the only information that you get on the alert. Disqualified drivers, that's canceled. So if your doctor notified the state of Minnesota that you are no longer physically able to drive, based on, could be epilepsy, could be dementia, could be several of the different factors, that would also go into the hot list alerts. Revoked or suspended driver's license, those come through. Those are several of the hits that people will see a day. I can tell you that nobody is running across the country or across the county to try to catch somebody with a driving after revocation alert. The more important things are Amber Alerts, stolen vehicles, stolen license plates, and the COPS alerts. COPS is KOPS, stands for Keep Our Police Safe. So if the chief has an incident here in St. Francis where there's a shooting or whatever, they are able to get a license plate on a suspected vehicle. They can put a COPS alert out on that vehicle. When it updates, which is, like I said, every 6 hours, that will trigger in the system if the vehicle passes one of the fixed ALPRs. It doesn't do it retroactively. If that vehicle passes by an ALPR, that alert will notify the agencies. So those are some of the alerts that are provided by the BCA. There's a lot of talk about what data is being captured. Oh, they're capturing my data. They're capturing my data. Well, the data that is being captured is a picture. There's no personal identifiable information on that picture. It is simply the picture of the vehicle and picture of the license plate. yes, if somebody's walking down the road at the same time, a vehicle drives by and the license plate is captured, there is a potential of somebody getting captured in that picture. But there is no way to search for any human characteristics in the Flock system. It automatically bans any kind of search like that. This is only for vehicle and license plate searches. You cannot search for a white male. You can't search for a Hispanic male. It has to be, you're searching for a vehicle. The snapshot of the vehicle and the license plate is taken. Prior to taking action, officers must verify a hit. That's the same thing as if you're driving down the road, if the squad is driving down the road and they run a license plate and it pops up with a stolen vehicle alert, the officer doesn't immediately take action on that. They have to verify what's on the screen is what's in front of them. We've had times in the past where I run a plate and it comes back stolen. Well, if you look at it more, it's actually a stolen vehicle out of another state, and you run a Minnesota plate. So you have to verify before you take action. There's no personal CJIS information, this criminal justice information system data captured by the camera, and the cameras have no access to any personal identifiable information. Only the state has access to the hot list, and law enforcement is the only the law enforcement can run the plate and get a return from the state, but Flock cannot. Photo data is automatically deleted after 30 days unless law enforcement retains it for a lawful purpose. That's a criminal investigation, and there has to be documentation for that. But no matter what, it's deleted after 30 days from the system. So you would have to download and save it to the case file before it's deleted. So a search in Flock. These are required fields. For an investigative purpose, you have to enter an offense type. In Anoka County, we comply with NIBRS, which is a federal reporting requirement. So our offense types are NIBRS compliant. You have to select one that matches what the report's going to say. A case number is also required. You cannot move forward without having a unique case number assigned to it. And you have to justify it with a reason for your search. Investigation is not a valid reason. If you put anything such as immigration or reproductive care or anything that is a trigger that blocks these searches that we've turned off, you will not be able to proceed with your search. You have to enter the legal justification for why you're searching. From there, you enter your license plate number, full or partial, and include the state. There's also an option for a vehicle fingerprint. That being said, we had an incident in Linwood last week where a 9-year-old girl was at the end of her driveway and saw a suspicious van, made a U-turn, and she thought somebody was trying to get her. So she ran and got her parents. We were able to locate and identify that vehicle on the one Flock camera that's in Linwood, because it drove past it. And we can use the vehicle fingerprint for that. And what that is we can look for a white van with a black door. We can look for a white van that has landscaping on the side, or whatever the specific characteristics are on that vehicle. It will pull whatever is as close to similar as possible with that vehicle up in your search results. And then you can search a few different ways. My network selected is the agency you work for, right? So right now, all the cameras that the sheriff's office had are under the sheriff's office. So if I search the sheriff's office network, I would have access to 13 cameras. If I share with other agencies such as Coon Rapids, Blaine, I would have to select their agencies as well. I can draw a circle and get that information as well. There is no nationwide search available for Minnesota. People in California can't search a nationwide. They can search a nationwide search, but they get 0 returns from Minnesota. You have to have a one-to-one agreement with each and every agency that wants to share with you if you're in Minnesota. Some success stories. Very briefly, we had a sexual assault. The offender attempted to transport a minor victim, back to Mexico to avoid prosecution. ALPR hit, located the vehicle in Kansas. The victim was safely returned to Minnesota. We did not have a sharing agreement with that agency, but we were able to see that there were hits in that jurisdiction. Our detectives called down to that jurisdiction. They were able to find the vehicle and make contact with the mother and convince them it was in the victim's best interest to come back to Minnesota. So instead of that victim being victimized in two countries, we're able to prosecute him here in Minnesota. Two stolen vehicles, real quick. One vehicle was stolen out of Fridley in the Cub parking lot, had two children in it. It was reported fairly quickly. They jumped on their system. They located where the vehicle was last past an ALPR camera. The vehicle was located within minutes. The suspect fled once he saw that the law enforcement was close. They were able to recover both children and the vehicle safely, and a canine search found the suspect. Let's see. A lot of these are just your stand. Fugitive from Arizona was located and arrested following a hit in Anoka. Non-compliant predatory offender was identified in Anoka County after an ALPR hit, and on and on and on. These are all hits that are coming off the hot list that the vehicle passes our fixed ALPRs. On to drone assisted response. So what this is the county has had a drone program since 2016. We fly a lot. I know the chief has some drones up here. They fly a fair amount as well. Every flight is governed by the state statute, 626.19. There's 13 exemptions to a search warrant, one of which is a crime in progress, reasonable suspicion there's a crime in progress. There's missing persons searches and a few other exceptions that are used. You can also fly a drone to assist another city entity like Public Works or Emergency Management if that request comes to you in writing. What the drone assisted response will be pre-positioned drones throughout the county. These are not patrol drones. They will be sitting in their dock until there's a call for service that meets the criteria in order to deploy. Once the call has been prompted to a pilot, they will review the call quickly to see if it meets the exceptions for a search warrant. If it does not meet the exceptions, the flight is declined and police respond as normal. If it does meet the exceptions, the pilot will remotely launch the aircraft. It will respond within 90 seconds to the call location, at which time the cameras will turn down and assist with the call. The drones take off autonomously once prompted to. Upon arrival, the drone hovers at the GPS coordinates until the pilot takes positive control of the aircraft. The pilot manages the flight remotely using a desktop interface. And after the mission, the drone returns to its base. The pilot has to hit land, and then the pilot is required to file all state required documentation as well as an ICR stating what the flight was about. Why it matters. It provides real-time eyes on the scene. I'm not sure what the response time is, but from one end of your city to the other, it could probably take 5 to 7, sometimes 10 minutes, depending on the speed and whether or not you're driving emergency. These drones can go within their flight designation area. Within 90 seconds, they can be on scene. Why that's important. Earlier this year, we had a call in the city of Centerville. A woman said that she thought she heard gunshots. She was on the phone with 911. Watching the house where she thought she heard the gunshots from. The squads took 7 minutes to get there. And that's not abnormal for that because that Centennial Lakes covers 3 separate cities. And that's still a pretty good response time. At minute 4, she told the dispatcher that somebody was coming out of the house and walking down the street. Well, that somebody did murder is suspected to murder his ex-girlfriend and the child. Having known that if we had the drone up, the suspected shots fired in a house would probably meet the criteria for a drone assisted response. We would have had eyes on that suspect when he left the house and follow him to where he was. And the apprehension would have been faster and the aid provided to the victims would have been quickly as well. Instead, it took over an hour for a squad deployed drone to respond, deploy the drone, locate the male, and walk a canine in to where the male was. I want to cover that. But the biggest, that's not it. The biggest aid to public safety with these drones is not law enforcement. It's actually going to be, the biggest benefit is going to be for the fire service. This is a photograph. These are the exact same time, exact same photograph taken with both cameras off of a drone. The one on the right is a live view camera. This is a house fire. You can see a little bit of smoke coming out. You can see the ladder truck is on the side of the house. What you can't see is the dangers on the left-hand side that are visible. I'm not a firefighter, never claimed to be, never wanted to be, but before they put somebody up on the roof to do ventilation, the chiefs would like to know where the dangerous spots are. This information on the left will tell them where to not put their people because it's unsafe. This program was unanimously supported by the entire Fire Protection Council, as well as the entire Anoka County Chiefs of Police Association, because of its benefits on multi-discipline deployment here in Anoka County. So how we currently use Flock. We currently use Flock. We have 13 locations. They're listed here on the left. They're also listed on the BCA's website. Our current use of drone technology is we have trunk deployed drones. We have every shift, we have 2, as well as pilots that are on duty that as part of their normal course of duties and responding to calls, they also carry a unmanned aerial system. I assume that's very similar to you, right, Chief? Okay. ALPR data is currently retained for 30 days. Drone data is retained for 7 days if it is not evidentiary. That is a state requirement that if it has no evidentiary value, it is deleted as soon as possible. And I can tell you that most of our pilots, once they determine there's no evidentiary value, they delete it that same day because it just takes up network space. ALPR data is not shared with federal agency, and immigration-related searches are prohibited and blocked as well as reproductive care searches. We currently conduct a system-wide biannual audit, just like our body cameras, through the same company, but we also internally do a rolling audit every 30 days of all use of our system. Minnesota has some of the strongest privacy protection laws in the nation. And when it comes to the ALPRs, we have one of the strictest statutes in the country. All searches are logged and abnormal activity is automatically flagged, and I'm notified if there's anything that is outside the norms of typical patrol search or investigative searches. Outside of exigent circumstances, any investigation, we get a search warrant. There's vehicle tracking movement search warrants have to be reviewed and signed by a judge. Misuse can carry strict criminal and civil penalties, as well as losing their law enforcement license and their job. I mentioned nationwide searches of Minnesota data are prohibited. We block searches as mentioned. Any protected data is blocked, and we do not share with federal agencies. Mainly, if we want to search historical ALPR data to track a suspect's movements, we are required and do obtain a search warrant. This is the same level of privacy protection afforded to citizens regarding the search of their home and their papers and things. As far as the drones go, Minnesota law also has a very strict drone policy. 62619 is the Minnesota state statute regarding law enforcement use of drones. Anything that falls outside of the warrantless search exceptions requires a judge-signed search warrant. Every drone flight is documented and logged for auditing. Footage with evidentiary value is saved to the case file. Anything not evidentiary is deleted as required by state law. These are some of the reasons why we fly: emergencies involving risk of death or bodily harm, natural man-made disasters, active search for missing people. That first and last one on the emergency and safety situation is actually the majority of what we do. Search for missing persons and emergencies involving bodily harm or death. Very frequently, we are requested to fly for crime scene, especially on the larger cases. We fly for them, and those all come with a search warrant. Reasonable suspicion of criminal activity is another reason why we fly. Crash reconstruction, that's in there mainly for the state patrol because they're the ones who do the crash reconstruction. We will fly for public events with heightened security risks. So case in point would be the Anoka Halloween parades. draw tens of thousands of people into a small area, that is a soft target that we make sure that we are aware of. So we have good situational awareness. It's against the law for law enforcement to collect data on public protests or demonstrations unless there's a signed search warrant. I can tell you we've never had to do that because we don't collect data on public protests or demonstrations. Or it is illegal to equip a law enforcement drone with facial recognition technology, again, unless there's a search warrant, but we don't have drones that have the facial recognition software. Flock software does not have facial recognition capabilities. All right. There's a lot of this is a PowerPoint presentation provided or that we did in Columbia Heights. So there's a lot of extra. It's a different community than here in St. Francis. So I am here for any questions that may come up. I know there might be a lot, but by all means.
Joe, do you want to kick us off?
You sure?
All right.
Who owns Flock's data?
We do.
Okay. So Winona recently has been experiencing, I don't know, you can call them activists, you can call them criminals, vandals, whatever you want to say, people destroying their cameras. They've decided to not replace them from what I've read. Who pays for that? And I mean, obviously if you catch them, there'd be restitution, whatever, but if they did decide to replace them, who would end up toting those costs?
Whoever owns the cameras would be the ones that own that cost. It is a felony criminal damage to property for doing so. We had one in Nowthen that was the wires are cut and somebody smashed it with a baseball bat. That has since been replaced, but yeah, it is a felony crime to do so.
So did the sheriff's office pay for that, or did the city of Nowthen?
No, the sheriff's office did.
So I want to apologize to you for our first discussion. I know I raised concerns about, 1984-esque vibes and surveillance state, things like that. I don't think I was as clear as how concerned I was. A lot of the issue we run into here too is we have public concern, which obviously you've seen, I'm sure you've been well aware of social media campaigns and all that stuff against Flock. So what we come up against is, and part of the issue I have is the first time you were here, you said it was going to be a 2-year pilot. That's now changed to a 1-year pilot.
Mm-hmm.
And it was supposed to go through the county board and it didn't. And of course, the information that Sheriff Wise, which I do believe he gave us talk at the county meeting thing they had. And I heard it was a very good discussion. I unfortunately was not able to be there. But the perception is reality in this case, right? People see that, oh, he went $1 under what it takes to be approved by the county board. Can you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. It was not $1 under. It was $500 under. And while that might not seem like a big difference, there is a significant difference. I think just stating the facts correctly do change some of the perception. The reason why is the sheriff saw that right now we didn't have the full vote of the council to approve a long-term contract. The contract would have been a 10-year contract with a 2-year step in with the cost. Seeing that, he felt that it was in the best interest of the citizens of Anoka County to do a trial. Flock was able to provide all of the technology, all of the capabilities of the 10-year contract within a 1-year contract with 0 renewal, and allow us to fully test the product before coming back to us later down the road with an option to sign into a long-term contract. So that's why we went with the 1 year. In 100% honesty, Flock is taking a substantial risk financially in deploying millions of dollars of technology into Anoka County. The sheriff and myself and the chief and the rest of the Cleos and the fire chiefs believe that, and forgive me for speaking for them, that this is a technology that is needed in our county, and it will save lives. It's going to save lives of first responders, as in the fire department, going into things that are unknown. You know, we are going to find the missing people after they leave, either missing children or those with dementia that wander. There's federal grants to cover for drones to help locate people that are prone to wandering. This isn't just about stolen vehicles. This is about better situational awareness for law enforcement, fire, EMS, and to assist with public safety as a whole. So that is why we've decided that the sheriff has decided to move forward with a 1-year contract to prove the concept. And if it doesn't do what it's being billed to do, we're out the $174,500 of the sheriff's office operating budget, and that's it. If we want to move forward with more, then the sheriff will then be prepared to present that to the county board as a whole.
All right, and I've been doing research as well on, you know, the claims made online, things like that. And obviously we're gonna have some misinformation out there. We're gonna have some good information. Obviously there has not always been honorable people operating these things. And unfortunately, as much as I do appreciate the work that law enforcement does, and I do support law enforcement, definitely love our police department. I think Todd's a great chief. I don't know Brad Wise that well, so I can't speak on him. But I think a lot of the concern comes from, you know, we have times from going from COVID where we have a constitution, we have laws. In my opinion, I think the constitution was greatly trampled on during COVID. I think with governors and snitch lines and things like that, to say you have too many people at your house for Thanksgiving, that does not help the case as far as, you know, we want to do the right thing. And I think, and that doesn't fall in the sheriff's office. I know our police department did great during COVID. You know, we weren't harassing businesses or anything like that. The question comes, I think, like I say, it's the 1984 vibes, right? I understand, I looked up Signal Trace. Signal Trace is not compatible with Flock, which is great. Signal Trace is what people put out there as far as it can read the data on your phone and all that stuff, and whatever's out there, Bluetooth. Flock is at this time not capable of it. I think the laws are great. I think the concern I have and the issue I have is I have more of a realist. I like to think I have more of a realist perspective on things when it comes to, yes, the laws are great. I have read the laws that are out there for this kind of stuff, but unfortunately, if people followed laws, we wouldn't need you, right? In a perfect world. So even though there's laws there against people that are operating these, it can be misused. And I don't know how familiar are you, I guess, with the misuse of Flock by other departments across the nation?
Year to date, in history right now, we have 18 people who have been found to be misusing the system nationwide. They have all been terminated, fired, and most have been criminally referred to. And if you think about that, there's well over 1 million officers in the United States, and having 18 is a extremely low percentage of misuse. As well as if you think of all of the private data that is currently accessible to law enforcement on a daily basis, and that actual private data, your full name, date of birth, address, phone numbers, all of your biographical information that is provided by the state with your driver's license, all of that information is accessible to law enforcement on a daily basis, and you're not seeing the misuse of that information. What Flock is capturing is a still image with zero personal data on it. Just because we can determine that Todd Schweiger was driving at Viking Boulevard and County Road 5 on 8/16 at 7 o'clock in the evening, that doesn't give us any information. That means that, yep, he was there at that time. That there's very low expectation of privacy per the Supreme Court on the exterior of your vehicle in and upon a roadway, no, public roadway. What is prohibited is you trying to establish a pattern of life or to stalk somebody. I can tell you that This is not a dragnet surveillance system. There will not be a flock camera at every intersection. They will be sparsed out around the county where it makes sense. We're not that in order to get every intersection in the county or every roadway in the county, we're going to need thousands and thousands of cameras. There's no appetite for that. There's no desire for that. What we're trying to do is to try to get a good idea of what's coming and going on the major highways, the state highways and the county highways throughout the county. These aren't going on residential neighborhood streets. They're not pointed at homes. They are pointed on the roadway, capturing the exterior of a vehicle. So given the fact that we already have access to all of your personal information, the misuse of a flock system takes a lot of work. You have to actively try to find a pattern of somebody's life, especially right now with 13 cameras at our disposal. We don't even have them in all of our contract cities. But what I can tell you is if somebody was going to quote unquote stalk you, there are far different resources that we could use other than an ALPR camera on a county road.
That's
well, and not just, for example, if any of you have the McDonald's app on your phone, did you know that they compiled off of one user's phone 500 plus pages of personal biographical data on the one person? Usually, this is from the McDonald's app. Because when you consent to this stuff, you're giving them significant access to your private data on your phone. But people click through that without thinking. We're telling you, we've looked at the white papers, we've looked at the retention, we have read the third-party auditors, all of the information that is, and Garrett Langley, the CEO of Flock, has been overtly open about all of this stuff. They do not sell your information. They don't collect your information. They don't have direct access to the photos. We have the access as law enforcement that we own. All of this stuff is to say the expectation of privacy on the roadway is extremely low. There's no aggregation of data when it comes to where you're at or how many times we see your vehicle or anything like that. There's a ton of misinformation out there. The cameras cannot be hacked. The one instance that is talked about online, a guy illicitly obtained a non-activated camera and accessed the boot system on the camera. Never had access to the network, never had access to anything. He was able to access the view of the lens. The cloud server has never been hacked. There is no backdoor system for the feds. There's so much misinformation out there. It's hard to address them all, but I can tell you that this company has all of the certifications, the highest certifications that any SOC 2 compliant, any IT company would be able to have to deal with private or potentially private data. Again, these are photographs. One last thing on that, the Miami-Dade Police Department has one of the best cybercrime divisions in the country. They took down one of their cameras and for either 30 or 60 days tried to crack into it and tried to crack into the Flock GovCloud website and everything. They weren't able to do it. They found that it's absolutely secure in every way they could imagine. And if anybody can do it, I assure you it's Miami-Dade cybercrime division.
And you brought up something else that I think is paramount too, because I see both sides of the argument as far as the fear, from the one side, and then I do see the benefit as well for law enforcement and how it could help people. And I think we have to weigh those options together too. But you brought up too, I think a lot of the people that are talking, if you have a Facebook account, the amount of data that you're giving away, and if you open your phone with your face and the facial recognition, playing with Snapchat and all that stuff, that's something too I think people need to consider too. So I do think it's a little overblown. I think the fear is warranted only for the fact that, honestly, because of the lack of accountability at higher government levels, in my opinion, from what I've seen lately. The fact that, to me, and whether you're a fan or not a fan, A former president charged with 34 misdemeanors that were upgraded to felonies because the statute of limitations was gone over political stuff. And that's kind of the concern, is if the wrong people are at the helm or decide, oh, we're going to change these laws real quick to use them for whatever reason. I mean, not that it's real quick, because government's not real quick, but we're going to change the laws now, and then now all of a sudden it becomes something worse. I think that fear is valid, only because of the abuses we've seen during COVID by some, state agencies and stuff. So I will say that. But I do appreciate your time. I think the drone's a great idea. I think the drone is less invasive, for one. I think it definitely helps support fire and law enforcement to keep them safe in a lot of aspects. I really do wonder a lot, and I think with the license plate readers, I know it's not new technology, but I wonder if the risk reward is really, really big there. I do know that it wasn't a flock, but cameras did help to catch that perpetrator that kidnapped the gal from, I think it was Zimmerman, wasn't it, recently? So, and it wasn't a flock, but the cameras did help catch him. So, I mean, that's obviously a beautiful thing to keep our kids safe. And I know if it was my grandchild or kid or anything, I know I would definitely be thankful that there was something there for that. I don't know if I support the ALRPs or BRs or whatever the hell, but I think the drone is definitely an awesome deal. But I do appreciate your time.
Sure. One last thing on that. If you recall the Brown University shooting late last year, that case was solved by flock ALPR cameras. They were able to solve that case, and the police department even openly says that it is. Think of the ongoing active shooter that was happening in Austin, Texas, and there was no way to locate that suspect until he went into a neighboring jurisdiction where they did have flock cameras, and they were alerted, and he was arrested within minutes of that alert. So while law enforcement isn't perfect, I can assure you that this program is already one of the tightest monitored programs in law enforcement right now. And as we continue to move forward in this process, it's not going to get any more lax. We have very strict rules on who can access it. And if you don't conduct your training that is required, if you don't meet the requirements, that our administrators, including myself, have no problem shutting you down. We've had commanders that have been blocked from using the system. I, for one, was blocked as of last week. I went on vacation for 2 weeks, and the training lapsed, came back in to run some audits, and I couldn't access it until I completed my training. So there's zero tolerance for any misuse of this or any other law enforcement or criminal justice system that we have. So, and if it is found to happen, I'll file the charges myself.
And in the law, it does say it's a misdemeanor, I believe, to misuse the system. Is that correct?
I believe it is. However, it is a prohibiting offense. So you lose your license and you get criminally charged. So you don't get to be a law enforcement officer anymore.
Thank you.
Amy?
Well, I agree with a lot of what Joe said. I think that the drones, it's two separate programs, right?
It's under one umbrella, but yes.
Okay. I think the drones going to fire emergency scene, I think that's fantastic. I think that would be really helpful for our emergency workers. As far as the flock cameras, I think that because there's so much hesitation and unknowns for people, I think it's probably just going to take time for people to get used to them, maybe elsewhere, and just know more about them, for people to be comfortable with them. But I appreciate your presentation. I wasn't here the first time. If it was you, I was out on medical leave. So I didn't get to hear it before, but I appreciate your presentation. I thought it was very good and answered a lot of questions, but I just think that there's just too much in the news right now with other cities, and kind of the hype and the fear and.
Can I address
the
that for one
unknowns,
second?
I think more time would be on your side.
Can I address that for a second?
Sure.
Sure. Most of the cities that you see that are canceling their flock contracts are doing so because they've signed on with Axon and they're getting the same technology with a different company. So they're scoring political points by saying, well, we're getting rid of flock. Meanwhile, the next week they're putting in Axon's cameras that do the exact same thing, just not as well. So I can tell you right now, our squad camera or have the technology in it. Every Axon company fleet camera does. The confidence and the accuracy is night and day. Flock has a substantially higher accuracy rate when it comes down to it. So, and I can tell you that we trust that more than we trust our squad ALPR cameras. So
I'll take your word there. And I'm not asking you to answer, but in the end, I'd like to hear what Todd thinks about the program as well. Thank you.
Sarah?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same camp. I personally don't, I guess I don't necessarily have a problem with the flock cameras, but I'm only my voice up here. I have to listen to the constituents or I choose to. And there's a lot of questions still out there from them. And I think until we can get solid answers from them and how they really feel on it, I agree. I mean, it's a great tool. My friend, my close friend is good friends with the little girl from Zimmerman. So that hit home real close for me. So I do see the importance. I just think that right now there's such a lack of, I guess people don't have a lot of faith in government in general, and they don't trust that we're really doing what's best for them. So I think we have some steps that we have to take to prove to them that we're really on their side. Again, I want to hear from Todd too. I pretty much know what he's probably going to say, but I think it's a tough one for me.
Kevin?
Oh, yeah, thank you very much for a good presentation. My first question is the budget impact after, if we do sign on with this, what is the budget impact for the city after the 1 year is up?
The plan is to prove the concept first,
Right.
and then present to JLIC to hopefully have a JLIC funding source.
Okay. And then, if we decide not to opt in on the program, the county, will they still place cameras where on their roads or their jurisdiction areas without our input or?
No, we won't. But I would caution against that, because if we make technology dead zones, right now criminals are actively avoiding where they know where ALPRs are, and that's been proven. We can see that they're taking auxiliary routes in and out of the county. And the more you create a dead zone, it pushes crime to your area. And that's fairly consistent across the country. When you have cities that choose to be a dead zone of this technology, that's where the crime goes. I'm not saying your city's going to turn into a crime den, but they will actively avoid where the cameras are.
You said Axon, is the news media that inept when it would not ask that question? The Iceni County Sheriff, for example, been on the news all last week.
Mm-hmm.
We're not doing it, or we're getting out of this. We're not doing this any longer. What kept him, or why didn't the media, and that's not a fair question to you, but where's the next step? Why did he say we've gone to Axon because it's a lesser, cheaper product? Or, I mean, that's pretty sneaky of them not to say we went to the brand X instead of.
I'm not going to throw agencies under the bus, but I can tell you that some of the major cities that have decided to leave their contract with
There's been a
Flock
lot.
have switched to Axon. And you can look some of them up. I won't throw them under the bus, but I know for a fact that is the case. I won't speak for Sheriff Cyberlick either.
Understood.
Because I know him. I'm not gonna speak for him on that one.
Sure. No,
So,
and I didn't.
but the news media, yes, they're Everybody knows, not every news media is on, fair, or gives both sides of the argument. But Flock tends to be a lightning rod, and that's what they focus on.
Right.
Flock is not the only company that does that, that has ALPRs. I'm telling you, there's Flock, Axon, Milestone, Verkada, Panasonic, and Motorola are just some of the top 6 off the top of my head that they all provide, that they're all provided. Minneapolis has ALPRs for the last 15, 20 years, posted around their around their city called Milestone. It's been there. Minneapolis uses Milestone, Axon, and Flock. So it's nothing new. You probably have passed by those cameras hundreds of times and never thought a second thing of it until somebody claimed that Flock was sharing data for immigration purposes. And that's where this all kicked off. And there's zero truth to that at all, because Flock has 0 contracts with Department of Homeland Security.
As far as the quality and whatnot, do you see yourself, or does the department see itself changing from Axon cameras on the squads to Flock at some point? If the quality is so much greater?
The video quality is fine. It's the back end software analytics that
Okay.
that give you misreads. I mean, you can drive down the road and get a false hit on a fence post, or a mailbox that says that the vehicle's stolen with there's no vehicle. What I will say is that the Axon is very good at certain things: body cameras, tasers, and the quality of squad cameras is very good. What I will probably be making the pitch to the sheriff soon is that we turn off the ALPR system in the squads, because you get to it. There's so many misreads that the deputies just tune it out, because it gives you an audible alert every time it picks up something that is on the hot list, and most of the time it's not accurate.
And Axon is currently body cameras for a lot of agencies
Yep.
in our area as well.
It's a very good system. It's a very good system. We've been with Axon for body cameras since we got them, and I don't know, are you guys with Axon as well? It is probably one of the most user-friendly systems out there. So I'm not going to denigrate them on that quality of the product. It's just some of the products, including, in my opinion, not the sheriff's office, my opinion, that their ALPR technology is substandard.
Okay. That's all I have for now. I really appreciate your presentation. Go ahead, Joe.
Just a real-time fact check for you on a few hits that came up. You don't want to do it, but I'm doing it. Denver, Colorado, ended their Flock contract and signed up with Axon. Douglas County, Colorado, I believe, same thing. Syracuse, New York, Grand Chute, Wisconsin, Ferndale, Michigan. So just a recognition of that, just to put it out there.
And I'm not going to accuse them of whether it's right or wrong, but people score political points where they can, right?
Right.
And that's what's happening. There's some that are right down the road here in Minnesota that did the same thing. I don't know if Isanti's going to a different system or not, but the bigger ones that are on the list in Minnesota, that's what's happened. So it's not that they don't like the technology, it's because they feel the brand has some tarnish. But Flock has become the Kleenex of its product, right? When somebody sees an ALPR camera, they're automatically going to say it's a Flock camera. Well, there's several other companies out there that do it, and this is the only company that I have been able to, from top down, review all of their security standards, the third-party audits, everything. And I know that they have 0 sharing agreements and 0 contracts with the Department of Homeland Security, which seems to be one of the big issues around the cities here, is that they're sharing information with the feds or ICE or anything like that. And there is none of that. Other companies do.
All right. Thank you. No, sir, thank you.
I don't know where to start. Most of the questions have been answered. It's a good questions and excellent presentation. And I've also read some of the sheriff's information he's put out. And I'm just going to say this. I mean, I dabble in law enforcement. If I'm in your shoes, I'd be doing the same thing you're doing. I get it. I know it will solve some crimes here and there. I'm not questioning that at all. It's just, for me, it becomes a slippery slope and a bridge too far. Because when we talk about passive collection of information, that's what it is. It's passive collection of information. And not only that, there's nothing that can't be hacked. The Louvre Museum gets broken into, the credit card systems anything can be broken into. The drone program, I'm all for that. I think that's a great program, and I totally get why you're both asking for it. If I was in your shoes, I'd be asking for it too, because it's your task with public safety. And this is another tool. Well put, but it's just a bridge too far for me. It's just, I can't, the passive data collection of that just doesn't work for me. So that's just where I stand on it. I know they all wanted to hear from you too.
Yeah, so Joe.
Quick question too, and I know I got some information from the sheriff and I requested it there, and I do appreciate that. I haven't seen, I mean, granted it's a pilot and I don't know what the contract looks like, but I don't know if we're privy to be able to look at the contract itself. I'm kind of curious on the terms of, or if we ever move forward, it would probably go to JLEC, which it wouldn't even necessarily get to the council. But I'd like to see that contract as well and see what the terms and all that stuff is as far as being able to discontinue it and whatnot. But that's all I have. Sorry.
Okay. I think the big picture, we just need to remember what data is being collected. It's license plate numbers, characters, and vehicle descriptions. Any personal data that's going to come from that is ran by the officer through an NCIC query. The same thing they do 100 times a day on a computer. That's how they're going to get that personal information on people. Otherwise, the pictures that Flock is gathering, the information is the same thing that you're going to see sitting behind somebody at a stoplight. So I think we just need to remember what data is being collected. And personally, I think the only way we're going to let this system prove itself is by using it and getting some success stories, and we will have them because they continue to, we hear new ones every single day. There's going to be some concern, I think, from a lot of people. And there's probably going to continue to be that concern no matter what, until the system positively impacts them. And we've had some success stories right here in St. Francis already. I mean, 2 weeks ago, we were called to a check the welfare scene at a residence, called in by a family member. The house was in disarray. It appeared something had happened there. So we did put out a cops alert, as the lieutenant mentioned earlier. And Sherburne County gives us a call, says they think that vehicle was in their county earlier in the day. One of their flock cameras actually hit on the license plate, and they were able to locate the individuals at a campground a little while later. And it allowed us to close that incident. We knew they were safe. That family member was able to sleep that night, rather than who knows how long it would have took us to find them. Another happened over the summer. We had that's impacting people, family members that call in this stuff and expect us to get results for them. The second one is property related. We had a burglary basically of our hardware store, theft, where some expensive property was taken. Again, an alert was entered, and that vehicle was located in Blaine after a flock camera hit down there after we provided that license plate number. The property was returned, and you can call the hardware store and they can vouch for this. So that's property related, maybe not as significant as, letting people sleep at night and knowing their family members are safe. But I think it's a year. I think we need to allow the system to prove its integrity, ease people's concerns, show the success stories that we'll have locally. I can guarantee it. That's the only way we're going to let some of these concerns go away, is by trying it.
Can I add two things to that, Chief? First, we have a transparency portal on our website, and as this whole system comes on board, the amount of searchable information as far as the use cases and stuff like that will be available on that transparency portal. It'll be broadcast, and we'll continually push out that kind of stuff. I will be providing routine updates to the chiefs at every chief's luncheon. I'll be there to provide as much information as I can. I know they want to not spend their entire afternoon at these meetings, so as much as they allow me to share, I will. They will have full access to come down and check out the center and what's going on. And at any time, they can run an audit of what's going on in my area, who's searching what in my area, and we'll provide that on demand for the chiefs. And lastly, speaking with the sheriff this morning, he asked me to reiterate this a little bit. Your residents pay a lot of money for law enforcement, to the city, some to the county, and you do so to protect you. And wouldn't it be the best to give them the best technology out there to solve as many and to keep you guys as safe as possible? It is in some cases around the country has been misused, but Minnesota is not Georgia. Minnesota is not Mississippi, where their expectations, their rules are a little more lax. We have very strict and defined rules, strict and defined statutes that require us to meet certain standards when it comes to any kind of public or private information. And that's where we're going to stand by, is make sure that out of all of the data that we have access to, I assure you that this is not something that we are going to tolerate any kind of misuse on.
Go ahead, Joe.
More question too, and I know there's a website out there. Obviously, there's the DFLOC website, which shows where all the cameras are, whatever, which does allow people to see and try to, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but where it's either safer to commit crime, however you want to say it. Cameras are a deterrent, just like police officers are a deterrent. They can't arrest somebody for a crime they haven't committed. So when you see an officer, you may think twice. So camera, that's the argument behind it. The other question I have, and there's a name of the website specifically, but there's some site that uses public data from data requests that you can, have I been flocked or something, and you can put your license plate in there. If a data request is given or asked for, obviously they have gotten or claim to have gotten data. And that's for manual searches, right? So if one of the officers was to type in my license plate, then I would know that he typed it in, what reasons he used or whatever based on that data. What I guess would be available to them per data request?
The search, what to search for, and case number and reason and justification. If there's not an alert that is that the license plate triggers, we have no information on that. We don't get alerted. And if you search for that vehicle, you have to put in a justification why. So that's the basic. I mean, there are some of our cameras, people drive by 30,000 times in a month or whatever, just whatever the numbers are. We're not getting alerts or even being notified of probably not even 1% of those. It's taking pictures of the vehicles going by, but if there's nothing associated with that vehicle, nothing happens, and it gets deleted at the 30-day mark. So I think that's what you're asking. As far as there's no way to short of me searching for you to find out if your vehicle has been captured on it, which is an improper search. There's no way to determine whether or not you've passed by one of our cameras. But if you did a data request, we'd be able to pull if your vehicle was searched, who it was searched by, and what the case number and justification would be.
Well, and I do want to add too, I mean, our police department has used, and there's nothing wrong with this, because they go and they ask the owner of the property, say for Amazon Ring footage or camera footage, and I've volunteered that. We can register that. So as a private, we can offer that as well to our police. So there's a young lady that spoke up at the last, about 2 meetings ago, I think, and said, we have a reasonable expectation of privacy. And like you said, the Supreme Court's ruled, I mean, when you are in public, you have zero, from what I understand, zero expectation.
No, it's not zero. You have a diminished expectation of privacy, but the exterior of your vehicle traveling down a public roadway, there's no expectation of privacy. It's the same as if the chief decided he wanted to put the sergeant back there on the corner and have him take a picture of every single vehicle that drives by. It's just doing it without staffing it at, I don't know, what do you pay the sergeant, about 3 million a year or something like that? Yeah. So it's doing that. It's saving the man hours of literally doing that, of standing and count and doing traffic counts and taking pictures of every vehicle that drives by. So yes, there has been Supreme Court rulings that say that, you know, you have a diminished amount of expectation of privacy upon the public roadway. And like I had mentioned, we're not putting these on residential streets. We're not putting these facing homes. We're not it's facing the traffic pattern. And that's it.
I have one other question, Mayor.
Sure, go ahead.
I know you said you're acquainted with the sheriff. I seen about the quote, I might be off a little bit, but he said, we're getting 200 to 300 alerts a day. I just don't have the resources to follow through on every one of them. What in the hell is that? And I know you can't answer for him, but what a statement to make. We get 200 to 300 hits a day. I don't have the resources to cover it all. So we're letting criminals run loose? I mean,
no, I can, each agency can restrict what the alerts are for, right? So like I had mentioned, there's the Canadian Police Information Systems alert, turn it off. It's never, the one that you can control what is being notified on. If I don't care that my deputies aren't looking for canceled, and that's the medically canceled drivers, they're gonna, if they run the plate on their CAD, they're gonna get that information. I don't need an alert every time somebody drives by, because it could be the son of somebody who was canceled, and every time they drive by, the alert comes off. So it may be a training issue, but I can tell you that we have reduced what is allowed and what we actually get alerts on significantly. And that's going to continue because they will become immune to the notification. There's, just like I said, and when you're driving your squad car with Axon, every time it gets a hit on a vehicle you're passing or a mailbox, you hear a chirp. I can't tell you how many of my guys have been like, can you just turn it off? I'm tired of it. We're driving our Bearcat down to US Bank Stadium for a detail on Saturday. Every time we're driving down, it's just going off nonstop. We don't have a computer that has CAD in there, but yet it still alerts us nonstop. So you start to tune that stuff out. And when it could be an Amber Alert, or it could be a stolen vehicle, or somebody's in danger, you want that alert to notify the cop. Says, hey, look at that vehicle. That's kind of the whole purpose of it. So oversaturation of noise and everything like that is and so the sheriff might be referring to that, where they just have everything turned on and it's just constantly pinging.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
I just have one kind of closing comment here too, and this has nothing to do with you guys. And you don't have to nod your head in agreement. It's just kind of sad to me that we have to utilize these kind of tools, or even ask for these kind of tools. When I can venture a good guess based on what I know, that if we would just deal with some of these individuals in the first place, instead of a catch and release game that our judges and our courts play, we wouldn't have to be here. So,
if I may, and by all means, cut me off. Go ahead, council member.
No, go ahead. I was laughing.
Oh, sorry. I don't see you, so it's like talking to the ceiling.
Thanks for that.
Yes, Lord. Sorry. Nowadays, we have certain technology that is expected of law enforcement, right? If one of your officers gets into a knockdown, drag out fight with somebody and has to put that person in the hospital because they're using force, and their answer is, I didn't have a taser, there'd be questions as to why don't you have a taser, right? Or if along those same lines, nothing was on video, why don't you have a squad camera? Why don't you have a body camera? There will come a time very soon, and at a much more expensive price, when there's crime that is occurring in your city, be it a property crime or a person crime, where if you don't have the information to do a proper, or at the time, what would be considered a proper investigation, the question is going to come, why don't you have this technology? And I don't have a good answer for you, other than we're trying to, and we'll do our best. And is law enforcement perfect? Absolutely not. Mistakes are made, but the accountability is where That's my job as administrator. That's the sheriff's job. That's the chief's job to make sure that we're holding them accountable. And out of the million cops in the country, if 18 are if that's the most that we get, those are pretty good odds. It's a pretty good percentage of people that are doing right or wrong versus wrong.
Any other questions or comments?
No, sir.
I have,
Go ahead.
so, just maybe you can explain what the status is here. Are we in the pilot program? Are we deciding something tonight? Like what's our goal here besides learning about it?
Mayor and Council, I think the goal tonight was to present, answer some additional questions if there were some, and take your feedback to the sheriff and let them make the decision on their program ultimately.
Okay, but we are not currently in the pilot program.
Nothing has been deployed as a pilot program as of yet. We are still in the planning phases. The contract has been signed. The contract term doesn't start until the first documented operational flight of a drone. So we are still in the planning, permitting, and discussion phase of where things are going to go. So nothing has been started. We have cameras. Other cities have cameras throughout the county. Those are still those cities in our cameras. There will be deployment of more cameras coming. We're just working through the process of the permitting and the site selection and everything like that. I can tell you right now that across the board, there are 0 city streets that will be involved in this pilot program. It will all be county highway or state right away. No matter what city we wish to put them in, that is the plan. So if, as the sheriff has said, if you decided you wanted to opt out, that would still be respected. But in the cities that we do participate in, they are staying on county and state right away.
Wait, I'm sorry, I wasn't here when you came last time,
Sure.
so the city of St. Francis is in the pilot program, or are we not? That's the status.
There wasn't a quote unquote opt-in. We were, as a law enforcement community, we were moving forward as a joint law enforcement operation. If certain cities choose to not, like Columbia Heights, they said, absolutely not, we're not having any cameras in our okay. And you can take a look at crime stats since that, and that's fine. But what I'll tell you is that we're not putting anything in Columbia Heights because they've been adamantly against it, and that's fine. The sheriff's decision is that we will respect their decision and we won't put any tech in their city.
So currently, this
Yes.
program.
We have identified locations that we would like to put cameras in your city and one of the DARs.
So I mean, I guess I'm a little confused when you say we have the ability to opt out without all of us, so to speak, voting on it or coming to a consensus vote on it. How do you know whether we're opting out or in?
Just through the communication with the chief.
Because I mean, I think we have opt-in on the drone part.
And that's what we're here for tonight, is just to get a general consensus of where council stands on being part of the pilot that hasn't officially begun yet. And what do we want that to include? Do we want that to include a drone? Do we want that to include the ALPRs? I'll take that feedback and we'll provide that to the sheriff and see how they want to proceed.
So I mean, go ahead, Joe.
So, well, do we have a deadline, so to speak, to give you that information? I mean, obviously there's a launch date, no pun intended there, but when the drone launches, apparently that's when the date starts. And then I also wanted to say, I'm going to continue to research everything, figure out what I can. To me, it's the truth and the facts are the most important things. Get that information out there. I understand everybody's concerns. I understand the benefit provide, and I do want the good guys to have every tool they can. I think the scariest part to me is the lack of accountability at the state level, even with some of our high-ranking state officials, and say this fraud situation. What actually happened, I can't tell you, but I think the lack of accountability or the lack of confidence in government in general is my biggest concern, because I want good guys to have the right tools. I don't know, how do I convince myself and the constituents that 100% we're gonna have accountability for this situation is kind of my biggest hurdle, but is there a deadline that we need to definitely have a consensus to say, yep, we want to go ahead, or no, we don't, or anything like that?
I don't have a hard date on that. I can tell you that as we work through the permitting process, we're going to prioritize the cities that are actively engaged in this program and want to continue the program, because to get the most, bang for our buck is to get them deployed. It's the combination of cameras and drones and the software to all work together that provides the benefit, the maximum benefit. So as far as a hard deadline, I don't have one for you. I can tell you that we don't have any sharing agreements with the feds, and we currently don't share. I don't believe we have a sharing agreement with the state patrol or any of the state agencies. This is going to be an Anoka County project. So that's kind of where I'll leave that at.
Thank you.
So can we opt out for the cameras and opt in for the drones? Is that is that an option?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'll just start that out. That's where I would want to go with that if we were voting today for.
I think we need just a consensus, just vote on this. I do.
Yeah, that's where I would be, is at this point.
I would agree. Sarah?
I think for now, yeah. I think we can at least say that we want to opt in for the drone. I think we need to still discuss this and look into it further, because I do agree that it's a very good tool. So I think we just have to proceed with caution, but.
Kevin?
I thought it was a package deal early on. It's a drone or not, or
In a perfect world, it would be a package deal. In order to move forward and get some traction on this program, we are willing to make some concessions as to what is put into your city. I'll be honest, it's not my preferred, but I am not a resident of your city. I'm not going to tell you how you should vote. But is it more effective if you have the cameras? Yes. Will we utilize the drone if we can place it up here? Every day. I can assure you that based on the call volume and the type of calls, it will be flying routinely.
I would vote for the drone situation currently, and then let's see how the pilot program goes with the countywide.
Joe?
Yeah, I'm 100% on the drone tonight. I think, it's, what was there, two? Was there two license plate readers? Is that what it was supposed to be? Do you remember off the top of your head?
3, potentially 4. And mainly one was going to be southbound on 47 near Ambassador, more towards the border. There's going to be one 227th. I don't think it was more than 5.
Okay, I know there, but yeah, I mean, I'd like to continue to I don't know, gain the confidence, I guess, of people if this is where we're going to move. I think eventually it's inevitable. I think, like you say, it's a slippery slope when it comes to this stuff, and I think it's to me it's better to have 100% confidence in it for me to say 100% I want to move forward. But I think the drone is a no-brainer to me, so that's where I'm at.
Sure.
I mean, bring back to the sheriff, and we're happy to discuss it again anytime, but I think that's kind of where we fall at the moment, so.
All right. Well, if I may, if I can work with the chief on coming back in a few months and talking a little bit more about ALPRs, but in the meantime, one of our steps will be to work with the city engineer or the public works director on the installation of one of the drones at the PD in a secure area. So, and then
That sounds good.
we'll be continually funneling feedback and information back to the chief. This isn't a one-time thing. It's going to be a continual project. So
Thank you for your time. Thank you for
having me.
Thank you very much.
Joel's got one.
Sure.
Sorry, I'm a last minute kind of guy. All right, so is that obviously I think is it I would think it'd be legal, I guess, to share the stats or the data with, this is the positive, numbers we use in the county regardless than the current ones we have.
Yes, I can tell you right now that we have not been overt in our communications with the successes with our cameras. And that will change in the near future. We're in the process of building out our transparency portal, which will have significantly more information than most people will want to know. And it will have, our PIO will be handling a lot of the positive feedback. And honestly, if there is something that goes wrong and one of our guys or gals decide to do something that's wrong, I assure you that will be publicized even more, because there will be people held accountable for it. I've worked for the last 2 years on this project. I'm not going to let somebody messing around or doing something inappropriate ruin it for the public safety in Anoka County. So I would say look out for more information to come from the sheriff's office. Once the new transparency portal, especially with the drones, is up and available, it'll have flight times, it'll have scrubbed data of any kind of like location, but you'll be able to see flight paths on the public site. You can see flight times, launches, landings, all that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in looking at one that is up and running, that is very, very good, go to Elk Grove, California. Their transparency portal, when it comes to their drones and ALPR, that's going to be mirrored to what we're doing. They've been up and running for a couple of years. So that's what we're looking for, is to have, well, you look and you're like, oh my God, look at all these flights. We've had one person that's concerned about flights, and he's like, there was somebody flying a drone over my house and it wasn't us. And he's like, how do I know? And I pulled up our flight logs. I'm like, we haven't flown in that city in 3 months. So we were able to locate who it was. It was a different county that was flying for a search warrant, but all of that information will be available online. It's coming. Can't post something that doesn't exist right now. We don't have that, any of the drones or anything deployed yet. So
Thank you, Lieutenant.
appreciate your time. Sorry it went long, but
No,
Chief has my contact information. Any of you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me directly. Okay.
Thank you.
yes, sir. Thank you.
On to meeting open to the public. Anybody wishing to speak, come on forward.
Tina Carroll, City of St. Francis. You guys probably thought you weren't going to hear from me tonight. So, so one thing I know Joe has talked about this, you talked about it. The Alexandra House is, in my opinion, not a charity. And sorry if I'm gonna get emotional here, but as I have talked to Todd, and I thank you and I thank your officers that do this without the support of the city and without the support of any kind of funding to help this, because I at one point was in a very abusive relationship. And if I would not have had my family as support, my son and I probably would not be here today. Because I didn't know about that Alexandra House. Had no clue. And to tell you how amazing this place is, I lived a block and a half away from that facility. This was after I had already left the abusive relationship. And I had no clue it was there. That's how secure this place is. You cannot see it from the road. There's no address out there for you to just search for it. They don't just randomly take donations from people if you want to drop stuff off. You have to have a donation time scheduled. Nobody can just come into that facility. And so when people call it a charity, it's not a charity. It is a lifesaver. And I thank all police and all first responders that help deal with that, because that saves so many lives. So I beg you and I plead to reconsider donating money to them to help, because, you know, even you guys talking about the flock and you talk about this, okay, yeah, the flock is gonna save people, but this program saves a lot of women, men, and children. And so thank you all very much, but thank you very much, Todd, for bringing them in and for continuing to utilize them, even though we are not helping donate to that fund. So, thank you.
Evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Jim Tyson. Live in St. Francis, been here about a year now. The whole flock and drone topic, we could be here all night debating back and forth. I just want to offer a couple thoughts. And I'm sure I'm not going to cover all of them that I've been thinking about for the last half hour, but bear with me. One of the things that he had mentioned is, no, let me start with the whole packaging deal. I hate when our governments do this all the time. I'll call it lipstick on a pig. You get one good thing, but they're going to bucket in a bunch of garbage along with it just to get it passed. I think we're all for the drones. The lieutenant made a comment about, you know, the system works better if the cameras are tied with the drones. If the cameras are only tagging license plates, honestly, what the heck does that have to do with the drone helping police and fire on scene? Secondly, the whole system, and why this is probably blowing up now more so than the last 15 years that everyone's had cameras and whatnot, it's the AI part. You get data center blowups. You get power utilities that want to have, you know, raising the cost to all of us to offset the cost and provide record profits to the companies. AI is non-deterministic. If you're not familiar, that means that you can ask the thing with 4 times the same question, and chances are you're going to get back a different answer. So the system that takes a snapshot of your license plate, which yes, is innocuous, it's public data, you're on the street, whatever. If it can't get the perfect digits, it's going to interpolate or make up something. You get cases where people get ripped out of cars and it's not even them that were at fault. So that's the downside of the cameras, right? Your car, you drive past it, you come close to something that it couldn't totally see your license plate. Next thing you know, you're being pulled over for something you didn't even do. I guess what it all boils down to is this is an important topic, and either as a city, you have a big meeting where everyone can come and voice their opinions and you have discourse back and forth, and then you guys know how to go. Or quite honestly, put it on the ballot, which is no different than the county sheriff should have done or anything else. This is an important enough of an issue that people should have the ability to say yay or nay to. And I know licensing cost with packaging deals makes a difference, but split this crap apart, right? I think we all support the drones being there. They're a big help. How many times can you be on different scenes and you get the above head view, right? But these cameras are not, it's just more lipstick on a pig. I think I'm in the same boat that you are. It's just passive data collection. You know, it's a still image, yes, of your license plate, but what's the frame of vision? I guarantee you there could be other people walking around, faces. These cameras can record, and while the cameras may not have AI on them, the company still has the data. They could, you know, yes, there's retention policies, but they can process it any way they want. So if the laws aren't there ahead of time, which our laws in this nation never are ahead of time, ahead of technology, you know, concerned about the people, they can do anything they want with that data. They own the data. So thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Oh, Mike. Call St. Francis. I was only gonna say one thing about Flock, and that's really all it is. In the early 90s, I lived in Illinois at the time. I was in Richmond Park, Illinois. And they ran my license plate just driving through my apartment area. And my name's Michael Powell. There's a lot of them out there. Well, they did a felony stop in front of my aunt's house and pulled me out of the driver's window at gunpoint. under this identification. I was the wrong Mike Powell. So if they can put that on Flock and make it a lot more than just driving through my neighborhood, what's going to stop that from happening? There may be safety features to it I'm not aware of. I don't know. I'm just telling you that I've been a victim of misidentification of my license plate years before Flock ever existed, and it could get out of hand. But like I said, I don't know the system well enough to say that there's not safeguards there to stop that. I don't know, and I'll tell you my ignorance off the bat. But it is a fear that I've got. But that's all I got on that. Now, my next one, very disappointed in what we were talking about earlier on speaking. It's amazing that came out after the primaries, because I read the second page of that, and it was talking. I'm talking to you today about it. That it's talking, well, you can't talk more than one subject over 90 days, and this, that, and the other, and that's what other cities near us have done. Okay, if Isanti jumped off the bridge, would you jump with him? I mean, that's what my parents would tell me when I did something stupid and I said, my buddy did that. Well, if your buddy jumped off the bridge, well, that's the same thing we're getting when we've talked about cars parked on the grass. Well, Isanti does this or another neighboring county does that. Well, we're not them. We're doing what's best for our community. And I don't think censoring us is good. You talk about Facebook. Yes, we all talk on Facebook after the meetings. That's a fact. I also talk about Pontiac 400s and Trans Ams and GTOs on Facebook. I mean, that's where you talk with like-minded people and you agree or you disagree. That's kind of what the platform was designed for. Does it get abused? Absolutely. But that is a forum for communication. Not everybody does it, but some of us do. But to say, well, we talk about it on Facebook after the meetings and that's a got you moment, I don't think that was fair at all. Because we are trying to talk. I did talk with Joe, I've talked with you, and I talked with Jenny and everybody about this. So I mean, at least they responded. I don't think censorship is good. I mean, if that's what you guys wanted, why'd you guys wait till now to say it? Why didn't you say it 2 weeks ago? Because what that letter said that was in that or the agenda today was a heck of a lot more than just cutting to one. If you only wanted to hear us once, that's fine. But even when you said, well, we go, well, one more minute. Well, you did it, Joe did it today while the lieutenant was doing it. Why is it wrong when we do it? Because as the communication's going on and talking and things evolve, we're going to have more questions that we want to add to it. And there's a lot of times like, and I waited to talk to the last one here so people didn't think I talked twice so I don't waste everybody's time. But you guys got to decide. You say you guys want us to be involved and you don't have to have answers right away. But I've asked the questions about the property behind Subway for 1.5 years. I've asked the heads. That's everybody that sits in front of me right now. And I get a different answer all the time. The property, they extended the purchase agreement for a certain amount of after the TIF was denied so they could come up with another plan. Then it was extended because they didn't have the property lines. Well, it couldn't be sold until they had a plan, and all that stuff has been a lie. It's not even a miscommunication anymore. So who's holding those heads responsible for giving misinformation? Is it you guys? Is it the heads of the departments? And that's why we get frustrated because, okay, we'll send us an email. We're not getting answers coming and talking at this podium. It's a lot easier to bury that email. And if that's what you guys are looking for, I mean, you've got the power. I don't. I mean, that's your guys' decision. But don't tell us you want our input and then tell us to shut up. You can't have it both ways. And there's not tons of people that come in here and give a lot of opinions all the time. So there's only a handful of some are with me and some are against me, but you guys are making it sound like you've got hundreds of people in here every other week talking, and that's not true. I've been to the last 6 or 7 meetings and there hasn't been that many people. Today was the most that I've seen in a long time. So, I mean, you guys got to decide what you guys want. I mean, but you guys are the power. I'm not. I'm giving my opinion. You can listen to it or not. I mean, that's just the way life is. But you can't say you want my opinion and tell me to shut up. You've got to come up with a better plan than that. And if you guys want a piece of paper for us to sign, does that mean that we can only talk about what's on that paper? Or things like, I didn't know the flock was being talked about today. So I couldn't bring that up because I wanted to talk about the censorship thing that we're going through? Would I have been able to speak on that? Or is it just what's on the paper? Because I don't mind putting on a paper to give a thing, and I don't care if you guys answer right away. But I've been asking the same questions for a year and a half over there, and I haven't got an answer from anybody that sits up here, the heads or the council. Not a legitimate answer anyway. So I mean, that's all I got to say. But like I said, you just got to pick your battles here. Do you want our opinions or you don't? Are we allowed to raise our finger and say, hey, I got one more question? Or we're not? I mean, because you, the mayor, you have told us to stop, and we have. So it's not like we're not listening to the council. We're not being rude. Okay, we get passionate, but when you say, okay, that's enough, we stop. We've always given that respect. So seeing that letter or the agenda today, that's a blindside. That isn't a very good look for any of us. I don't think that's who we are. I don't care what our neighbors are. I don't live in a Santee or East Bethel or any of those. I live in St. Francis. And that's what I want to talk about. I don't give a damn about them because that doesn't do my life. This does. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Anybody else? Seeing none, on to council member reports. Kevin.
Not much. I did attend the National Night Out. I hopped over here and saw our group with a couple nice booths. A lot of people. It was really impressive to see how many community members are out there. Kids, moms and dads, and utilizing the park stuff as well as food trucks and the fire department, the fire district, and it was really good to see. It was really heartwarming. And then I buzzed back and checked out my own neighborhood and talked to some neighbors I hadn't seen in a while as well. So, but again, kudos to our ever-giving staff, Public Works, and they were there not just with shoulders down and chin on chest. They were there with some enthusiasm, whether it be fake or not. They were doing a really good job faking it then, because they were putting their best foot forward, and I applaud that heavily. So, thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. Sarah?
I also attended the National Night Out Night tonight, and again, it was great to see how many people are out, and the kids were having a lot of fun. I think there's a little bit different things this year, and so they were enjoying those. So great job, staff.
Amy?
I don't have a lot to report, but I just wanted to say to Mike and all the people that have been coming. I mean, we actually really do want to hear from you. For me, the form was just a way to get back to people. Like, we probably know Mike, we probably know how to call you or Tina or some of the other people that speak regularly, but we don't always know that. And so, and my comment about the school board with the form, and you have to sign up ahead of time. You can't jump in after. I don't want it to be that way. What I was saying for us, I don't want it to be that way here. I think that, and also at the school board, they don't usually interact at all with whomever is asking the question. And that really it just really falls flat. You're there and there's just nothing. Now they've added a little bit where sometimes the superintendent might answer a quick question, but the school board members themselves don't interact that much with whomever is asking the question. And it really feels like you're not being heard, but they do have that form where you can say, this is how you contact me for a response. And then they take that and they make sure someone responds, the appropriate person. And so for me, the discussion tonight on public speaking was not meant to tell anybody that we don't want to hear from you. That is the exact opposite of what we were trying to say, or me anyway, I'll speak for myself. It was more, for me, it was more for, we need to be answering the questions that people are asking, especially the ones that come back repeatedly. So for me, it was more on how do we get the answers that they came here to ask. And because we can't always answer them. In fact, we should say we can't ever answer them here. And so sometimes the dialogue is just too much. I think you alluded to it once, Sarah. Sometimes the dialogue is just too much and the first hour of every meeting is just back and forth and to keep the meeting going forward and to then get back to whoever asked the question at a later date is, I think, a better route for getting answers, I think. So that, for me, that's what it was to actually answer your questions, but we really do appreciate everyone coming. Because there's meetings, not lately, but where there's no one. So it's hard to know what to do if no one comes, so. That's my 2 cents.
Joe?
Well, I was not at National Night Out. I'm working out of town, unfortunately. Did a lot of research on some of the topics that we've been looking up. Looking at other things in other departments as far as budget and whatnot. But other than that, I have not been directly involved in the community. So that's all I have.
Thanks, Joe. I don't have much either, other than National Night Out. Appreciate the effort everybody put into that. That's a lot of effort. And we all, I mean, it wasn't just me, we all attended our special canvassing meeting here this last Friday, so. Canvass the votes. Other than that, I've got nothing else. Anybody else? Anything last?
No, sir.
No? I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councilman Fawnin. Do I have a second?
I'll second, Mayor.
Second by Councilman Robinson. Meeting's adjourned at 8:15 PM.
You got a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry, gosh.
Roll call.
Roll call, sorry, good. Sorry, Jenny.
Mayor Vogel,
Aye.
council members Mulebauer,
Aye.
Bonas,
Aye.
Ludwig. Aye. Robinson.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 8:15 still.
You made it still in the time.